FSF Popcast live show.
I can't take you people anywhere. Welcome to the FSF Popcast Sidebar. Tonight we are reviewing Andor Season 2, Episodes 7 through 9. Who are you?
We will get to that.
Yeah. Also, that's the second time I've seen that actor or character die. And are we late? No, actually, we were right on time. We haven't even hit 7:01 yet.
We got caught up talking. We haven't even started talking about the topic at hand. Usually we do a little pregame on that, you know.
No, this is
psych ourselves
this
up.
This is jump right in and fingers crossed, hope it doesn't suck. So
what the heck are you doing?
What the heck are we doing? I would like to point out that tonight's services are being brought to you by Busch Light Apple. I am not a huge Busch Light fan. Matter of fact, I hate Busch Light. But there is something about this little can of apple flavored beer that is ridiculously good and cheap. So,
Tim,
yes,
Tim, you live in Michigan. There are more breweries than churches in some towns.
I agree. I'm as confused as you are.
What the heck?
I'm not going to lie. I up until about a week ago, I considered myself a beer snob. And I was like, I have to have a certain level of beer in order for me to enjoy it. And yeah.
See, all I've got left in my fridge is Guinness. Because, you know, standards. But
standards.
I'm saving that for the weekend.
But yeah. So like I said, I would have considered myself a beer snob before this, but this is just delightful. Oh, and also Busch, if you're watching, I mean, I'm not a fan of all your beers, but you can sponsor us with this. Just saying.
Also, New Holland Brewing. If you're listening, you sponsored more of our episodes than I think anybody realizes.
Oh, it's pretty obvious. Yeah.
I mean, it's on my desk. It's just
yeah. It's on the desk. It's in the body. It's
Over tonight, I'm mostly drinking water. There's a little caffeine on the side, but mostly water.
I mean, I got some water here too. You know.
You gotta hydrate so you don't dehydrate.
Exactly. Hydrate, don't dehydrate. All right. So, kids, tonight, like I said, we are talking about Andor, season 2, episodes 7 through 9. We were not late, Kathleen. Anyway, taking that personally tonight.
Kathleen, we talked about something being late. We ended up with a kid. Okay.
That lateness is what, 6.5 years old now?
Yes.
But this was a whirlwind of episodes, and we are moving into some territory here. We're going to get into all that here in just a moment, but we want to take a minute to remind you that this show is made possible only with the support of our show partners and our viewers like you. So thank you to all of you who are watching either in live or in replay, or even listening. That all of it is very, very important. We thank you so very much. But also, please go check out Bones Coffee Company. You can see the link down below. If you click that and use the code FSF Popcast when you check out, you'll get 10% off your order. Idea Farm, where you get some really cool localized nerdy merch, especially in the Midwestern areas. But anyway, if you go there and you use code FSF15, you'll get 15% off your order. And of course, we want to welcome you to the Level Up Sabers Studios, because Level Up Sabers are better than a stick. And Master Allen's just really cool and nowhere near a douche nozzle like Star Wars Theory and his crappy lightsabers. Anyway.
Also, if you check out the Level Up Sabers YouTube channel, they have their own role-playing game, Star Wars RPG. He has lots of instructional videos on how to use the saber in an intelligent manner so you don't just look like a buffoon with a stick. Great guy. Wonderful content over on TikTok. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, Master Allen is just a joy to work with, and I can't recommend his product enough. So, but yeah, Level Up Sabers, go give them a check out. And then, as a reminder, kids and cadets, we are going to be like I said, we're talking about Andor tonight. And I keep throwing this picture up there because I freaking love this picture. I think it's really cool. I don't know who the artist is that did it, but kudos to them for doing such an amazing job on it.
If anybody knows who the artist is, please let us know. We'd like to give them credit.
Absolutely. I would love to be able to give them a shout out and be like, hey, you did a tremendous bang up job on this. And I am wholeheartedly impressed with their work. And as a reminder, like we said, as it says down below, There will be spoilers tonight. So if you have not watched episodes 7 through 9 of season 2 of Andor, this is your opportunity to know that anything past this point is spoilers, spoilers, and more spoilers.
And yeah, anybody who cried during episode 8, I was right there with you.
Man, do this. Oh, yeah. So we got lots to talk about this week, especially with these two kids and cadets right here. We focus a lot this episode, these 3 episodes about Deidre and Cyril and their relationship and what's going on with them. And honestly, their relationship is a mess.
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of lying and hiding. And that's not a good foundation for any relationship, let alone what they were trying for.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Cyril believes he's going to Gorman for this thing, and Deidre and Patagratz and the Emperor, they have this thing in mind, and these two things are not coinciding. And there's a lot of lying and subterfuge and a lot of miscommunication here, so that when it comes time for the focus of these 3 episodes, which is the Gorman massacre, when it comes time for that to happen, we're going to get into this in just in a little more in depth here in just a moment, but we're going to see really what all this bubbles up into. And I did not see that coming out of Cyril. I did not see this character's change coming like that. No, I did not. I was we'll move on here in just a second. But we do see Deidre a lot in there. Dedra, right? It's Dedra, isn't it? Not Deidre. Yeah, Dedra. We see Dedra in this little chamber here. It's a safe room where there's, she can communicate and have nobody paying attention to what she's saying. Nobody's able to Skype in and listen in to what's going on. And she's able to have her calls with Patagratz in there. And it's just, it's kind of interesting. Again, and even to a certain point, Dedra thinks that, so Cyril's over here. She thinks we're going to be here, but yet the Emperor and Patagratz are over here.
Yeah.
And even she's, I think, caught a little off guard by what is actually happening, why it's actually happening, and all these type of things.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the the higher ups don't give you the whole truth, so you can't leak it or you can't work against it. If you just have your part of the picture, which is really the same thing Luthen is doing. He gives each of his operatives that part of the picture, but only he's got the whole thing put together.
Right.
It's interesting to see the opposite coins of the same side.
Yeah. So, even though they're on different sides of the fence, Luthen's doing the same thing throughout throughout the entire series of Andor. He's been doing the same thing with his people. I'm only going to tell you so much, just exactly what you need to know, and then we can move forward. Then we'll move on from there. We don't really see that. I mean, we see that also from out of the Empire, but we see other members when they're working with people. Like, I think Cassian tries to be very inclusive with everybody that he's working with and make sure that everybody knows all the steps and what they're doing and why they're doing and things like that.
Yeah, we saw that in the first episode this season when he's dealing with that Imperial soldier, when he went to steal the TIE prototype.
Right.
Like, hey, we're doing this. This is for a good reason. This is what we're doing. This is the next thing. Mm-hmm. You're on the right side. Told her everything he could.
Oh, yeah, the lady that was helping him. Yeah, he told her everything. Yeah, for sure. He included her in every step of the way to I think, a lot of it too is to make her have a vested approach to what was happening.
Yeah.
But there's so much disconnection with the Empire and how they're operating. And even with Luthen, there's disconnection in how he operates with the people who are around him in his circle. But yeah, and we see that play out a little bit more as we get more into the rest of these episodes. But we see Dedra looking on as the Gorman Plaza in Palmo is starting to become enclosed in. They're putting barriers up all around the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was kind of interesting because Cassian is on Gorman. He's in Palmo. He's there to try to assassinate Dedra. And it's kind of interesting to me. We see him walking around. I just thought it was kind of funny to me because I'm like, with everything that's going on, with as many troopers as there are in this plaza, like nobody notices him walking around with a rifle scope being like,
yeah.
I don't know. I thought it was funny.
It kind of was, but I mean, he's also being very careful about where he does that. He's not just standing in the middle of the plaza doing it. He's,
true, but
he's paying attention to the lines of sight and what coverage he has. Because if somebody sees him pull out that blaster to take his shot and prevent him, that he failed. I also thought it was funny that at one point he's literally 5 feet from Cyril and they don't see each other.
Yeah, Cyril has no clue at that point.
Right.
But Cyril also realizes that it's time to make his way back. He's being called back to the facility. Dedra has told him, come back to the facility. This is where it's going to be safe. Things are happening. And on Cyril's way in, he meets up with the I don't know, John, what would you call that thing you're wearing? Is that a vest?
It is a vest.
Yes, it's a vest. He's very fashionable. John's very fashionable. But Cyril runs into the head of the Gorman front, or the People's Front of Gorman, however you want to call them, and they have a little tussle in the streets, and that's the first time I think that I really started to pick up on the fact that Cyril's emotions are bubbling to the top. He is anxious. He's angered. He is trying to figure out what's going on. And then there's the realization when he gets to the building and he walks into a room full of K2SOs and everything that's going on.
Things, those are
those things. We're going to get into more of those too here in just a moment. But he sees what's going on, and this is the result.
Yeah.
That shocked me.
Yeah, he had been kind of like the subordinate in this relationship, and all of a sudden he's taking control and physically taking control of the situation, which I don't think she expected in any way, shape, or form. I mean,
well, I didn't, for sure.
Right. And her continued shock after that, with her hand shaking and wringing her hands and pulling at her collar, she's shaken by all this.
For sure. Yeah, she was thrown very much for a loop. She was not anticipating getting choked out that day.
Right. I mean, who does?
Right. No, nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. But yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting that we see, because I imagine Cyril to be the subordinate, submissive person in this relationship. I expected him to be the patsy that gets walked on for the rest of his life because of the way that his mother had built him up. And you still can't convince me that his mother isn't the next great villain of Star Wars. That woman is evil incarnate. She's horrible.
She really is.
Yeah, she's awful. So yeah, I was very, very surprised by this outcome. I mean, I expected. I mean, we saw him be very impetuous in season 1, and when things are happening at Ferrex and all that stuff, and we see him in season 2, especially in the very first couple episodes, being the person who gets directed by Dedra that, oh no, you're going to do this and you're going to do that. And I love the fact that she tries to convince him that everything that's happening is going to be okay. It's not what we expected, but it's going to be okay. And we're going to be rewarded handsomely for our time here on Gorman.
Yeah. Part of what's going on with him, I think, is that he has actually become, I don't know how to say this, like, he's come to appreciate the locals. He hasn't fully gone native, but he's acclimated to the culture and the people. And then when he hears the Imperial news broadcasters spewing their very slanted perspective, we'll say, their propaganda. It hits him that, wait, the people I work for are lying. Why are they
Something's
lying?
happening. Yeah.
What else
happening.
are they lying about? What is she lying about?
Right. And that gets really cemented. Your whole point there gets cemented by the fact that he tries to go meet up with the one lady from the Gorman front, after hours in the alleyway, and he tries to like level with her that this is what's happening, and she smacks him.
Yeah.
Because the realization is that you played us, they feel played as well. And he is definitely bought into the local, he's made some friendships there. He's as much as he's going to make a friendship, I think he made kind of friendships with these people.
Yeah.
And
he's got a favorite coffee shop, a favorite restaurant,
well, he's been there for a couple years, he's living his best Gorman life. But it's kind of an interesting thing. And then we go from this, and he goes out into the center of the plaza where people are starting to assemble and have been for a while. And there's Gorman chants. Then they start singing, I'm assuming, which is like the Gorman anthem, the planetary anthem. And we see these troopers start moving their way out into the plaza, where there is already a massacre monument in the center of the plaza, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna redo this one. We want a bigger monument.
Right. Yeah. What I caught on this was the order was to send the children out. These are the raw troops who haven't had a lot of experience dealing with hostile situations. They're basically cadets who just got their badge, and are more likely to do something stupid.
Right. Yeah, they're expendable.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, the Empire is not going to care if these 15 to 20 kids get wrecked by the hometown crowd.
As is definitely shown by an Imperial sniper firing the first shot into these troops.
Right.
To kick things off.
on one of the troopers to kick things off. Yeah, it's I was kind of surprised by that too. I thought that they were going to shoot one of the Gorman people, and then let that be the start of it, not shoot one of their own.
Yeah.
Well, I thought for sure the snipers they weren't there just to look around. They weren't there to to play hops cross buns with people. They were there to pull some triggers. They had their booger fingers on the bang switch. They were there to do some work.
Right. Well, I mean, it's kind of a standard, and I'm sorry that I know this, sort of a standard tactic for like a false flag operation like this, to have one of your own guys get shot first so that you're acting in self-defense.
True.
I mean,
true. Right, because that way they're not the aggressors. They're repelling. Yeah, that makes sense. I get you. But this is the look that we have. We see stormtroopers all around. This is actually a pretty good sized crowd that has that has gathered there. And this is right before the blasters start firing off. And you can see in the crowd that there's people who they've snuck in weapons. There's Molotov cocktails. There's people with pipes. There's people, and it's like they have their hands on whatever they can have, because I think in their hearts, the Gorman people know that we're at the verge of a rebellion. We're on the verge of a revolution. Something's going to give. What that something is, nobody's really sure just yet, but it's about to happen.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would like to credit this show for making stormtroopers scary again. You watch the original trilogy, and they're almost a joke, but they're not supposed to be. They're shock troops. They're supposed to be terrifying to the average person, and we see that.
Yeah, these guys can actually shoot things.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier when you have a pen full of people like that, but I mean.
Granzier says, and this is why you need as many Stormtrooper action figures as possible. Every kid who played with Star Wars action figures in the 70s and 80s.
Or if you're running a Star Wars RPG, you'd have a separate bin, like the size of your lunchbox, just with Stormtroopers and Clone Troopers and battle droids, for when your players inevitably run into stuff.
Yeah, because that would never really happen on our show, ever. Yeah, stormtrooper exactly. Stormtroopers can actually be very scary. That was actually one of the things that I appreciated about the sequel trilogy as well. I thought they did a really good job in the sequel trilogy of making the troopers more scary than what they had been in the original trilogy. The scariest since they had been since the clone troopers, who the clone troopers were efficient and accurate and fighters, and the initial stormtroopers right after that, up into the point of about the New Hope era, were a mix of clone and recruited soldiers.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of went off the rails for a while. But yeah.
Right.
Yes, and Grandeur agrees with you. Well played, sir. Yeah, he scares the crap out of us about every episode. We're pretty sure he's coming for us. But yeah, one of the things that was the scariest to me in this episode were these dudes.
Ooh.
You know, I mean, we see it in Rogue One where K2SO just absolutely destroys the troopers who come into the room where he's at while they're trying to get, the Stardust file out of the file tree or whatever that thing is called. But I mean, these guys, they're like backhanding people and throwing them, and it's just like, yeah, Kathleen, K2's family is scary.
When one of them like kicked that barricade and went 50 feet, plowing over people. It's like, oh no, they don't need ATSTs. They need these things.
These things were scary. Yeah. Had the Empire just kept these things around a while. I mean, obviously, these are an addition that came after the fact of after the New Hope and the original trilogy. But if you can imagine these being in the original trilogy era, the rebels would have had such a harder time defeating the Empire, because these guys are when they get shot, it's almost like a Beskar or Beskar alloy or something, some metal that is reflecting blaster bolts rather, and these guys are not taking damage very well,
right?
So,
and I mean, we did see some of these in the Ahsoka series when they flash back to the Night of 1,000 Tears.
Yes,
we see these KX droids stomping across Mandalore, picking off survivors.
Stomping would be the appropriate word as well.
Yeah,
literally stomping.
They're very much the Star Wars Terminator.
Right? Yeah. That's a Star Wars style of curb stomp right there.
Whew.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal what these guys could do. So it's kind of interesting. We see these guys, they're going out in the crowd. Now, once this has all happened, like anything else, people are trying to disperse. They're trying to get out. They're trying to get away, but they're blocked in by the stormtroopers who are up on the higher ledges. Instead, we got the Death Star droid that was mainly a protocol spy droid that barely functioned properly. I mean, there is that. Grazer's not wrong.
The Empire was kind of inefficient by design at a certain point.
True. Very true. But so we see people trying to move about, and this is where we see the realization of Cyril knowing that the crap has officially hit the fan, and there's nothing he can do about it.
And this is largely his fault.
Exactly. I think the realization of the fact that the part that he played and all these people dying is hitting him. The realization that he's been suckered, not only by the Empire that he so adored, but the woman that he was in love with. All these things, I think, are coming in on him. And I think when you see him out in this plaza in Palmo, I think this is what, at least that's what I took from it, is that he was having all these feelings, all these emotions hit him at that one time. Yeah. Granzer said, at least my childhood imagination redeemed the Death Star droid to how the droid's pictured work. Yeah. Didn't the Empire create the IG-88 series, though? Too? Yeah, they did. But they also had their bugs. You're right. And you had the IG-11s and all the IG droids. everything. That's the thing, though. Everything the Empire created had bugs somewhere because they were trying to rush through things so quickly to not get killed by the Empire, by the Emperor.
So one of my favorite stories about IG series droids is from Tales of the Bounty Hunters, the anthology book.
Yeah.
Where the original IG-88 downloaded his brain into the Death Star, the second one, and like was figuring out how to use the laser himself. And then went boom.
Oh, neat. And then it went boom.
Yeah, then
that's probably
boom.
good. Probably a good thing it went boom because
there was going to be an assassin droid running the Death Star.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would have been bad.
Autonomously. Yeah, that wouldn't have been a problem at all. No, it'd have been completely fine. It'd have been safe. No big deal. Nobody would have noticed.
Yep.
But you talked about how Cyril and Cassian were walking this plaza and literally 5 to 10 feet from each other, and they did not see each other.
Right.
And Cyril has almost a bloodlust for Cassian. He hates his ever-loving guts.
Yeah, because Cyril's whole life was destroyed because of
Ferrix.
Cassian.
Yeah. Because of everything that happened in Ferrix.
So on some level, he blames Cassian for what's happening now, and then Cassian's
for sure. Yeah. And then we get this, which I have to give him credit. That dude fought way better than I thought he was going to.
Yeah, for a paper pusher, the dude's got some tenacity.
Yeah, right? I mean, he was coming at them and just, yeah. I mean, he was throwing some good punches, dude.
Yeah.
He was getting his knocks in there.
Yeah, there was some good range there.
Right, John. Grandeur says, right, John, that was a super cool book. Didn't the Emperor get a door on the Death Star shut on him?
Yeah. That was one of the funniest things I've read in a while. The Emperor's just like, the door shuts. Like, this is supposed to work, right?
Wait a minute. This is my ship.
Exactly.
So we see these two fighting for quite a while. And one of the most interesting parts about this is now this is the second time that Cassian has checked into the hotel that he's at, which is overlooking the Palmo Plaza with a good look at the monument in the center. It also has him a very good look at Dedra's office. And everything where she was hanging out. And we met this fellow the last time that Cassian was on the planet Gorman, and he was very, very happy to have Cassian there. You could tell
he was very sympathetic.
Yes, because he noticed that Cassian was sympathetic to everything that was happening, what was going on, and then this time he's recognizing that, oh, you're this person this time. Yeah, she's going to have to report you. I'm not going to worry about it, but just so you know, she's the one who's going to have to do it.
There was nothing to report because I didn't check you in.
Yeah. And that kind of upset the Emperor.
Yeah, it kind of did. Good story. Highly recommend that book.
Okay. But yeah, so we see him, and now the interesting point about this is that there's a point in this whole fight where Cyril actually has the better of Cassian.
Yeah.
And right before he can really do anything, this guy chucks a bomb, which blows up, puts Cassian and Cyril on the floor. I mean, they're all covered in dirt and grime, and Cyril is able to get the gun before Cassian can get back to a gun.
Right.
And he's standing there. He's looking him over. He's getting ready to, and then the People's Front of Judea, Gorman, his leader, says bye-bye to Cyril.
Yeah. But my favorite part about that scene, that moment, is Cassian looking at Cyril with the, who are you?
Right. I have no clue who you are.
Right. It was very much the you've seen the Street Fighter movie, right?
Long time ago.
It was Jean-Claude Van Damme, Raul Julia.
Yeah, I watched it once and swore I would never do it again.
Okay. So Raul Julia has this monologue scene where he's like, when Bison visited your village, it was the most significant event of your life. For me, it was a Tuesday. And that's kind of the vibe this gave off. That,
sure.
to Cyril, this was like the biggest thing that happened. It changed the whole direction of his life. For Cassian, it was like, you were like a random cop I got away from, you know?
Who are you again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do I care?
Yeah. I do find it kind of interesting that I've noticed today that there's some debate out on the internet as to whether Cyril is dead or alive. I'm like, guys, he took a blaster bolt to the temple. He's dead.
Okay, so we know that cybernetics can do a lot of things. I mean, I've seen Solo a couple of times. They have people with only like the bottom half of their head.
Okay.
So I mean,
he's dead.
As long as he has a functioning brainstem, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe, I guess, but
Biology's a little iffy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Cyril's alive. I'm pretty sure that I guess I mean, I know it's Star Wars and we have to put some level of expectation of reality up on the shelf when we talk about some of these things because, galaxy far, far away and realities are not the same. But going by human realities, he was shot in the temple. He's dead.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it would be kind of neat to see him come back as, one of those
Cyber
dudes
Cyril?
with like Cyber Cyril. Yeah, we'll go cybr Cyril with like the little cone thing around his head so he could function.
The cone of shame.
The mechanics of shame around his ears. But it is kind of interesting. We get a really neat connection between the bellhop,
yes,
and Jyn Erso in this show.
Uh-huh.
And it's a nice tie-in. And I think that this bellhop, not only ignited the rebellion back in Cassian, but he gave a pivotal line that is used not only in this show, but throughout Andor as well, or through Rogue One as well. Rebellions are built on hope.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I was the only one, but when this dude said that, I was like, oh my God, they said it. They said it. It was
he said the thing. Yeah, it was totally
exactly the Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he's like,
Yeah.
But definitely. But we go into Rogue One and we see, rebellions are built on hope. When Cassian's talking to Jyn Erso, and then when Jyn Erso's talking to the council on Yavin, rebellions are built on hope. She's, it's just kind of to me, it was just kind of a really neat tie-in to, and this is another reason why I have so been enjoying this storyline between Rogue One and Andor, because the way that they're meshing the stories together and tying everything in, it makes me, I can't wait. I am both sad that next week is the end of the season, but I'm also super excited for the end of the season because I want to sit down, watch all of Andor, and go right into Rogue One.
So it's supposed to end like where Rogue One starts. So like it should end with him, with Andor going into that alley where we first meet him in Rogue One, where he just offs the informant.
Yeah. Either in the alley or on his way to there. Like he's departing for it. But yeah.
On the one hand, I'm excited to see how he gets to that point. On the other hand, I'm a little disappointed I know how everything ends.
Yeah.
It's one of those. But at the same time, I like to read the last chapter of the book first. So I know how it ends and I can look for the clues. I
was about to say that to you. I'm like, wait a minute. You also read the end of books first.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So one of the neat things is, so as scary as the KX droids are and everything else, we also see how we get K2SO into the rebellion. Yeah. Because he gets hit with that transport ship and it slices him in half. And that's pretty much the only way I think you can defeat those droids.
That or like an EMP, probably. Yeah.
I did find it funny when they get him back to Yavin and they have him all strapped down on the table. Uh-huh. And when they fire him back up, he went from Murderbot Death Machine here to Is that meant to be pointed at me? If not, I would, if it wouldn't bother you, I'd like you to point it somewhere else.
Yeah. Reminded me of, what's his name? Watt from Knight's Tale, which makes sense because it's Alan Tudyk.
There is that. Granzer asked, could Andor have another 1 or 2 seasons that would continue to complement that Andor movie, or would too much be overkill? It would all depend on how they ended the season.
Yeah.
So when we get to episode 12, that's going to be the kicker, because if it is literally you shut off, because like what they did with Rogue One, I mean, you end at Rogue One where A New Hope begins.
Right.
And so if they're looking to do the same thing here between the end of episode 12 of Andor and the beginning of Rogue One, it might be a little difficult.
Unless they do like during the gaps.
Right, unless they do flashback scenes. Right.
That could be cool.
They do some flashback episodes and see what was happening between BB3 and BB2 and all BBY2 and 3.
Animated Andor.
Yes, please.
Yeah. I'd be in. So
I mean, I'm always down for more Star Wars animation. That's kind of a given these days. It's where the best stories are told, in my opinion.
Yeah. But another thing with this dead KX droid, when Andor gets out of the ship and tells the deck officer, whose name escapes me right now. I know he has one.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, there's a dead KX unit in the back too." And the guy's like, "A KX droid?" You know, like, because he knows how scary these things are. Like, what do you mean you brought one of those here? What do you mean it's dead? How did you kill it?
I love that scene too, because I love the fact that Cassian turns around and is like, "Yeah, and I think we have all the parts."
Yeah.
I think we have all the parts. It should work. Let me know when you fire it up.
Yeah.
It's very entertaining.
Scene. That was like one of the funniest moments in the whole show.
And again, I saw this very quickly on Reddit today, and I apologize that I didn't think to write down the person's name, because now I can't find the blasted Reddit post. But I saved this picture from somebody on Reddit. So again, if you know who made this, please let us know, because I would love to give credit where credit is due, because this made me laugh out loud, because even Lego can recreate this scene.
Oh man. You know, I spent a lot of time on Reddit today and I did not see that. So
I was just flipping through things, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, that's gold. But I was at work and I had a million things going on.
Yep.
And I was answering phones and responding to messages. So I just saved the image to my phone and walked away. And I forgot to write down or take a screenshot of whose Reddit post it was. So if anybody out there is watching this and they know whose Reddit post this was, or who the original concept of this was from, please let us know. Like I said, we'd love to give credit where credit is due. I don't want to take somebody else's image and make it seem like it's my own. I did not make that, although I wish I would have, because that's glorious. So one of the biggest things that we see from the fallout of the Gorman massacre is the spin machine that the Empire is trying to put on this, and the way everything's going within the Senate. And I mean, they're arresting the Gorman senator on site just for being at the Senate building on Coruscant.
Yeah.
And we see him being pulled away, and he had talked with Mon Mothma and warning her that, hey, he knew something was going to happen, and he's telling Mon, this could be you, so you need to be careful.
Right.
And we see Mon talking with Bail Organa, and about how she needs to give a speech, she needs to stand up, she can't take this anymore, and Bail's going to help her get out of Dodge. But we see her writing this in her office, and it's kind of interesting that we find out here how closely, in fact, the Empire was watching not all the senators, because they were, but how much even more so they were watching Mon Mothma. They knew Mon was a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, they had a listening device in her office, which gets found.
And her driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, her driver is totally an ISP or an ISB agent, and ISP would be a website, not who we're talking about. But yeah, he totally an ISB agent. He's taking orders from the ISB as to reporting her movements, where she's going, how long she's staying at the office. Is this normal for her schedule, or schedule, because they're all British? And it's just schedule.
Been a day.
It's been a day. I agree. But we see her get to the point where now I couldn't find a good image of her and Luthen talking in this out in the town square on Coruscant and this little cement park that they were at. But we see Luthen tell her that yes, you could give this speech, but you have to get the heck out of Dodge afterwards. But don't trust Bail Organa's people because even Bail doesn't know who they are. And Bail later confirms that actually that yeah, I have no idea who these people are. I can't find out too much because then it gives up my position.
Right. Which I mean, so what I loved about this, the plaza between the senatorial offices and the actual Senate building, the location they used was amazing.
Yeah.
The architecture there was just beautiful. It's an actual place. And again, I didn't write it down, so I don't remember. If somebody does remember, please tell me, because I don't have Kathleen's Google food skills quite.
I want to say it was a European car company's facility.
Was it?
I think so.
But
I could be wrong.
But it was solid enough, but weird enough to be Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah. The architecture was fantastic.
Yeah. And that's something I've really enjoyed about the show is them using actual locations, going to places, building sets, not
actual sets, not just filming on the volume.
Which I mean, they do some of that too, maybe a little bit
for sure.
But
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
The Emperor tracked everyone, but they missed tracking General Madine. They didn't see that coming.
Crix Madine, yeah, good stuff from the old stories.
I was like, I'm not catching on to that one, but okay.
Yeah.
General Madine and that sharp hairstyle.
Yep. You might meet him if your character lives long enough, Tim.
I don't like where this is going. So anyway, we go from that to the next day. Mon gives her speech, and it is a very damning speech of the Emperor and what's going on and the way the Empire is running things. And
yeah, and the monster who's coming for you.
Right. Yeah. It's a very, very powerful speech. More than I was anticipating. I was thinking that because she was in the Senate chambers, not doing this from another locale, that this would be a much softer speech than it was. But I think, she came out swinging. She wanted people to know what was up. See, Tim, you have to Google him up to remember General Madine. I had that action figure, but he stayed an Empire General in my play toy lore.
Cool.
All right. Well, General Madine Star Wars. We're gonna Google that real quick.
All right.
Oh, that dude.
Yeah,
I know that dude. Yeah,
that's a cool dude.
Okay. All right, hold on a second. I'm gonna try and bring this up on screen so everybody can see it, so that you can understand what I'm understanding, which took me a hot second. I did not know that was that guy's name. I'll be honest with you.
Everybody in Star Wars has a name.
Well, I know that they do. That's not the
Read
point.
Tales of the Cantina. It's weird.
This dude.
Yeah, that dude.
He does have a snappy hairstyle.
He does.
I'll give you that one.
Tim, you should do that.
No, I don't think I should.
Do it. God. Do it.
Anyway, do it. Do it. I mean, he does have a beard. I mean, I could make it work.
I'm just saying.
Just play a chubbier version of him. It'll be great. But yeah, so we see Mon talking here, and like the second she goes to leave, she's met by Cassian, who Tim, no. I'd make it look good. Don't you worry about it.
Okay, so just sidetrack right now.
All right.
Ranzier's telling you no. If you're drinking, I'm not, and I'm giving you ideas. Ranzier's right. Don't listen to me.
But we see her run into Cassian, who uses the passphrase, "I have friends everywhere," and that's how she knows that he is from Luthen. I agree, John. Apologies, lad.
No apologies necessary.
Absolutely not. We don't need no stinking apologies. But we see them, and I love how Cassian, he's sitting there with, he's got this busted up lip, and he's while they're in the elevator, he's just kind of like, nice elevator you got here.
I was at the Gorman Massacre yesterday.
All right. It was a little bit of a rough day. Don't know if you picked up on that. But we see them go from there to leaving the room, and what Luthen warned them about, or warned Vaughn about, absolutely happened. The ISB agent shows her true colors, pops out and points a gun, and she gets 86. She is no longer. She is 1000% bye-bye.
And I think it was Erskine who did the wait, she's a rebel, and shoots the ISB agent.
Right.
Because I mean, at that point, it's just like he said, she said, they said, we said.
Yeah. And I love the guy to her right. It's like he's putting his hands up. He's like, I have nothing to do with this. I didn't know this was happening. I am not with her.
Yep.
But I want to point out one thing as we're kind of winding down here, but this is the last slide that I have scheduled for tonight, this next one. And I really think that we're getting to this point. But if I don't get this season, I am proposing that we riot.
Okay, so they mentioned this. They said that Gold Squadron was going to be picking up Mon Mothma.
They talk about it, but I want to see it.
But then there was also a freighter inbound to Yavin at the end of the episode. So it's kind of alluding to the ghost being there without showing it.
I know they're alluding to it, but I want to see it.
But the next episode is another year jump.
I know this, and I'm just thinking that maybe there'll be a flashback in the next couple episodes, because now we're at the point of BBY1.
Yeah.
And for the next set of episodes, and that's right before the Battle of Yavin, which is the next big turning point. Yeah. The end of Rogue One and the next big turning point. So
So even if we don't get to see this, which I don't think we will, they've done a wonderful job of referencing it and letting us know that they're including this in the story without necessarily slapping us in the face with it.
I would rather be slapped in the face with it. We riot at dawn.
That can be arranged. Anyway.
But yeah, I'll come back to the slides here in a moment, but
yeah,
I absolutely was on the edge of my seat for episode 8.
Oh yeah.
And
I was watching it at 6 o'clock in the morning. So
yeah, that's what she said. And I was thrilled with the storytelling of the continuity of 7, 8, and 9. I think this is the best out of this season so far. This is the best chunk, and I thought last week's episodes were really good.
Yeah,
this 3 was way above and beyond anything that was offered in the previous week.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like, I know there are some loose ends to tie up, but even if this was the last episode, I'd be happy with it. We've got all the pieces in place.
Yeah. Oh, this would be a fine jump off position to the beginning of Rogue One.
So, I mean, we've got our
excited for more.
Next week we get the frosting.
Yeah, we will get our cake and we will get to eat it too.
And if you know me, I will eat a whole can of frosting with a spoon by myself.
Yes, you will.
I'll be sick for hours afterwards, but I'll do it.
On the verge of diabetes, but he'll do it.
My stomach hurts. I feel like crap.
Okay, that was actually on a completely random off-topic note. It has nothing to do with Star Wars. That was me last night. We went to a place over here called Sweet Jams or something like that.
Oh, dude!
And it's a frozen yogurt store.
Uh-huh.
And they have like all these frozen yogurt machines. You go up there, you get all your flavors, and then there's all these candies that you can put on top. And I had toffee flavored frozen yogurt with chocolate pretzels on top, peanut butter cups, and cheesecake squares. And by the time I got done with it, I had one of the worst brain freezes of my life. And secondly, that hit my stomach like a cement mixer.
Huh.
And, and I was like, ooh, okay. Anyway, that's enough. But it was actually enormously delightful, and I can't wait to go back and overdo it again. So,
what's the name of the place again?
Sweet Yams, something like that.
Sweet Jams, is that in Newaygo?
It's in Fremont, Michigan.
Okay. So if you guys are watching, we take sponsorships. Or
absolutely we do.
Some free froyo.
I'll talk about your store for free, froyo.
Yeah.
Yeah, Winford Brilley is rolling in his grave. Well, not too much. Well, he could probably roll more now. Before the belly would have stopped him, but now he can. Now I'm pretty sure he's just, he's, as the Alice in Chains song used to say, them bones. So
he's no longer the man in the box. Now he's just them bones.
He's just them bones. Absolutely. So, all right. So out of Stormtrooper helmets out of 5, John, what do you rate these episodes?
5.
Yeah.
No notes, no complaints. Just, this was peak cinema.
Perfect. It was perfect. I had no complaints. I like I said, I was on the edge of my seat during episode 8. Episode 7, you could feel it. You could feel it brewing. They were building the anticipation. You go right into 8, and there was no letdown of that edginess into episode 9. That carried on into 9 with everything that Mon was doing and going for the speech and having to escape. Everything else, I was very much in tune with what was happening and very like, this is awesome.
Yep. Yeah.
So yeah, I would agree 5.
Yeah, I do have a Star Wars TV thing, but it's not Andor specific. Real quick. Take a sip of a margarita. I get brain freeze from hell.
Yeah, Granzer says, poor Tim. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Yeah, I take a sip of a margarita and I get a brain freeze from hell.
Yeah.
I've actually had that before. It depends on how frozen the margarita is. If it's a frozen margarita, I can't do it. I take one sip of a frozen margarita and I'm sitting there, saying the words that make Jesus cry. And and I go from that. Now I can have a regular margarita, just like not a frozen one, but just like your regular iced one with a salted rimmed glass and things like that. Those are fine. Regular margaritas are fine. Frozen margaritas are horrible because science. Exactly.
Thank you, Kathleen.
Science.
So my other Star Wars thing.
Yes.
At the end of Ahsoka, season 1, there was the theory that Thrawn is taking all of these dead troopers back with the Night Sisters to have them resurrected in the sleeper pool.
Okay.
Can't do that. Because those Night Sisters don't know that Asajj used up all that power to come back herself. The pool was empty when she came out. There's nothing left.
Yes, it was. Yeah. That was actually shown to us in Tales of the Underworld.
Yeah.
Yeah, when she comes out of the pool, there's no more water. It go bye-bye.
So I'm wondering if that's going to be like a plot point that comes up in season 2 of Ahsoka.
Yes, a frozen margarita, I meant. And Kathleen says alcohol freezes at a lower temperature, so a frozen margarita is actually colder than ice. That makes sense.
She is such a nerd. I love her so much.
She is a nerd. Okay. Yeah, speaking of nerds and cool nerds, and let's see, hold on a second. Question. I keep getting YouTube videos to watch on the Star Wars Mickey series. Do you both reviews of that? I know nothing about that series. Star Wars Mickey. I have no idea what we're talking about.
Hang on, let me see if I can find out.
So while I'm doing this next part, John, why don't you do some Google searching? And Kathleen says I'm a nerd about very specific things. This is also true. Kathleen, I need you to do some Google searching for us and find out if you know what the Star Wars Mickey series is, and you might be able to help us find that. But so last week we interviewed Justin Cabanting, who's a voice actor. He's a stuntman. He's an on-screen actor. He was in Obi-Wan and Skeleton Crew, by the way. But this week we sat down with Brian Volk-Weiss. He's the CEO of the Nacelle Toy Company and just the Nacelle Company, in fact. He is an executive producer who, for Netflix, is the producer of the show The Toys That Made Us, which is a phenomenal series if you haven't had a chance to watch it. I absolutely love that show. And the very cool thing, so right off the bat, because Brian in this interview talks about how he grew up in it, although they do a lot with Star Trek right now, and the nacelles are something that comes from Star Trek. He talks about how he grew up in a very Star Wars family, and we talk about that pretty specifically. But episode 1 of the season 1 of The Toys That Made Us is about Star Wars toys, and it's very, very cool. And I watched a lot of that episode with tears in my eyes, thinking of the things that I threw away that are invaluable now. So,
yeah.
Is it that I'm a nerd, or is it the tism? Yes.
Why not both?
Why not a bit of both, Kathleen? But yeah, it's a very, very cool interview. I so very enjoyed talking with Brian, and really cool guy. As a matter of fact, he's got a throwback animated series on Tubi right now that's 100% free to watch. It's called RoboForce, the animated series, and it's made in conjunction with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is involved with it. A really talented writer that we're working on a date trying to get him on the show. Gavin Hignite was the writer of this, and Gavin has written some really, really cool stuff over the years. As a matter of fact, if you look Gavin up on IMDb, you will be amazed at how much of his stuff you've seen and didn't know. Obviously, you didn't know it was Gavin, but he's a pretty cool dude. But yeah, so this series is the RoboForce series is 100% written by Gavin Hignite, and it's a fun watch. So go check that out on Tubi. But you can find this interview wherever you get your podcasts. We like to recommend Good Pods. I mean, sure, you could listen on Apple. Sure, you could listen on Spotify. But if you go listen on Good Pods and give us a 5-star and recommend the episode, it will be greatly, greatly appreciated. Good Pods has just been tremendously supportive of everything that we do. And so we want to repay that. And then also, of course, you can watch it here on YouTube. Granzer says Mickey 17. I think that's the name of the series.
Mickey 17.
I don't know. Honestly, Granzer, I'm gonna have to look this up, see what I can find on it, because it's not. I think the cover, the character is wearing an AT-AT commander helmet. So
okay, wait, it's a science fiction black comedy, written, produced, and directed by Bong Joon-ho, based on the 2022 novel Mickey 7 by Edward Ashton.
Okay.
Robert Pattinson is in it. Stephen Yeun, Mark Ruffalo. What?
Yeah, I don't. That's Mickey 7. That's an actual movie. I don't think that's a. It's one I haven't seen yet, but yeah,
I'm not entirely sure that's Disney.
Yeah, that's. Hold on a second. He's talking about this. Let's pull this up here.
Yeah.
So that did not work.
Tim's trying to use the technology again.
I found it. I have it. It's just that the picture would not enlarge as much as I wanted it to.
Right.
But if you can see that, that's what he's talking about.
Yep.
Mickey 17. So, but yeah, that's a movie that was in the movie theaters for a while. But yeah, Mickey 17 I've heard a lot of good things about it. No, it's not a TV show, it's a movie. It had some pretty big names in it, as John was reading off there, and I believe it had fairly good reviews. So you guys might want to check that out too.
If you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah, but I literally have little or no experience with that. So, but on that note, that's all, folks. That's all I got for today. John, you got anything else we need to discuss? Or
next week's episode is going to be a little late because you scheduled an interview for our regularly scheduled time.
I did. Yeah, next week. Yeah, I have because I am good with the calendars and things.
Yeah, you and your calendars.
Nobody. Yeah, next week on Thursday. At this time, I'll be interviewing Maddie Quadruple from Stranger Things and the Lemony Snicket series.
Yeah, no big deal. Just
big deal.
Some series you might have heard of once upon a time.
Let's see. Yeah, Mark Ruffalo was definitely in it. Thanks, gents. I'll wait till you do your review to ask it. Okay.
Yeah.
Just haven't seen it yet, but I do plan on checking that out. Like I said, heard a lot of good things about it. Yeah. So next week we won't be going live till about 8:00 Eastern time because the interview starts right around 7, and hopefully we'll be able to get him in and out in under an hour. So we might be a couple minutes late starting the live show next week at 8:00. All depends on how long the interview actually goes. But
what are we doing Monday? Are we doing anything Monday?
We need to be. I got something. I got something I need to throw out there to the fine folks to check out. So
all right.
I mean, technically could wait till Thursday, but I'd like to go live on Monday. Yeah, we still have to get that whole date figured out. I don't think we ever really did. So, but yeah, well, there's that.
All right. Granzier, thanks so much for watching, participating in the comments. We appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Love having you be part of the show and come in. You got some great insights and just a lot of fun to chat with. So thank you so much.
And Kathleen, thanks for chiming in once in a while too. I know you're busy out being a mom and stuff. And thanks for letting me hang out and do this nerdy stuff. You're awesome, babe. I love you.
And on that note, we're gonna go before I get myself in even bigger trouble with Kathleen. Okay, bye. And on that, I forgot to sign off. I didn't sign off. I'm going to sign off now. I'm going to sign off. Should I sign off? I'll sign off. Okay, I'll sign off. May the force be with you as you continue to live long and prosper. Remember to say the things, kids. Okay, bye.
Copyright 2025 FSF Podcast.
Reference any specific product or entity mentioned on this podcast does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by FSF Podcast. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. If you have any questions about this disclaimer, please contact us via email at info@fsfpodcast.com.